जातस्य हि ध्रुव मृत्युर ध्रुवम जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मात् अपरिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत। Arjun is now replying as if to the Lord that how can I hurt or kill my grandsire Bhishma in this war and my teacher with these arrows. These elders I should be rather worshipping. They are divine to me. I respect them. They have taught me from my childhood, they have given me love, they have taught me this art of uh, war, and now they are standing in front of me. This certainly cannot be done. I just cannot pull myself together to do such a heinous sin in this battle. Guru nahatva hi manubavan shreya bhoktum bhakshamapi loke hatva arthakamantu guruniyeva punjiya bhogan rudira pratiktan. These teachers, if I kill them, they are my. I should be worshipping them, but by killing them, Shreya bhoktum bhiksham api loke. I rather not kill them, but in this world, I rather beg, because if for kingdom I kill them, I don't want kingdom. I rather have them live, and I will remain a beggar. I will go and beg my bread, but I will not fight for the kingdom by killing my teacher. Just for the sake of wealth and physical pleasures, if I kill my teacher, then for the rest of my life, people will point at me, my hands will be soiled with blood of my teacher, and how can I show my face when people will point out to me that here is a person who took knowledge from his guru and then he killed him. Certainly, this life cannot be tolerated, or I will not be able to bear with this thing. So, I certainly do not want to create this kind of situation where I should be shameful for the rest of my life. न च एतद्विद्म कतरः न गरीयः यद्वा जयेम यदि वा न जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषाम ते अवस्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः. Now, after saying this, there is something happening within him. On the one hand, he seems to be very sure what he is talking about. He is taking the support of religion and what he has been taught, and seriously, because that's what he knows. So he says that I do not really know what is good for me, whether we are won over or whether we should win over in this war, whether we should win or whether we should be defeated. I am confused. I just don't know under these circumstances what is right and wrong. I do not wish to live without these two great elders, Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya, and they are the very elders who are standing in front of me. This, even though they are others who are the children of Dhritarashtra, they are also in front of me, but I do not wish to live a life by killing them. This is not right. So we can feel the confusion already in Arjun when he says whether I should win or I should lose. I think even a small child or 5-year-old baby would tell you that when you go to war, you go always to win. You don't go to a war to lose. So such a question then tells us that he has gone even lower than a child's intellect, as we were talking about, and that happens due to attachment, due to ignorance, due to pride, false pride. It all shows This is the time to show our real knowledge. And yet, a great man like Arjun shows less wisdom than a 5-year-old child who can easily advise him that you are here in the war to win and not to lose. Yet he is putting that question that he doesn't know what is right and wrong. Fortunately, at least there is something coming out. He is speaking his heart. I think it is very important that we allow the person to speak when a mother knows that child is not going to listen. Uh, it's not easy to convince the child to prevent him from things doing that he should not be. But mother doesn't give up hope. Mother should not get angry, but listen and see what's going on in the child's mind so that we can help. And Sri Krishna is doing the same thing. He is listening what Arjuna has to say. He has already denied Sri Krishna's advice. He is not getting up. So Sri Krishna already knows that he has not listened to me. But now Sri Krishna says, let me listen why he is not listening to me. And Arjun continues, Karpanya dosha upata svava pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yat shreyah syat nishchitam bruhi tanme shishya team shadi mam tvam prapannam. This is the slok number 7. I would like you to refer to this slok so that some of you, as I say, who are interested in looking up. As a matter of fact, I would very much like you to keep Gita in front of you. He says that with my nature, which is Kshatriya, brave, it is overpowered by weakness, and my mind is in confusion about my duty. And I request you, O Sri Krishna, you please decidedly tell me what is good for me. I am your disciple. Please instruct me who have taken refuge in thee. Now, this is one of the most important slokas. Sometimes I would like to point out there is so much to learn in one slok when Arjuna is taking this position. First, he admits that he is overpowered. Now, he recognizes that his mind is confused about his duty. So, at least second recognition. And he has wisdom to say that I am requesting you that please tell me decidedly what is good for me. Well, one thing in the world, sometimes we are not sure whether we are getting a decisive advice. But when Shri Krishna Bhagwan or saints speak about any advice or say anything, they don't have to be decisive because everything they say is always decisive. They don't have two ways of saying it. But in the world, obviously, we have experienced that we say something and do something else, so we have to say, please tell me for the sure. Well, our habit should be such that whatever we say should always be for the sure. We should never have two opinions about it if we are going to create an image and save our energy, which God requires us to do. But Arjun knows that in the world you have to request several times. Also, he might be not still convinced because Sri Krishna is not agreeing with him, so he is going to keep on talking until he hopes that Sri Krishna will join his party or his opinion. So he goes on talking. He should have known that Sri Krishna is not going to change, but he still hopes that advise me what is good for me. Well, that is good. I think this is a good thing. If a disciple approaches a teacher, he should ask only one question, please teach me what is good for me. I do not know what is good for me, and you tell me what is good for me, you advise me what is good for me, you show me the path what is good for me, you check me and see that I am on the right path. You do everything, all I do is just follow your instructions. Rigidly, with my heart, sincerely, intensely, and with full humility. If we do this, only then in spirituality we are going to progress. I find from my 30 years of experience that if you advise people who are not sincere, who don't mean what they say, then I don't think they are grasping the message. So these are the requirements of a disciple in order to advance. To become a disciple is not very simple. We have to take refuge. What he already says, that I have surrendered to you. Even in war, when an enemy surrenders, we don't hurt him, but we respect him. So one thing we must learn that if we surrender to somebody or if we say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I think that God is going to pardon you. But our ego never allows us to be really sorry. Very few people say that they are really sorry or they were wrong. If they mean sorry, they don't even mean what they say just for the sake of tradition or as a statement they have made, I'm sorry, but they are not even paying attention to what they are saying. When we say sorry, we want to make sure that we will not repeat that mistake. We will listen very carefully and we are serious about it. We say sorry and that next very moment we don't even listen what they are saying. So being disciple, becoming a disciple is very important. Nowadays I think we got too many gurus and very few disciples. I wish we can all become disciples. As a matter of fact, God has intended that all of us be His disciples. Even the saints, those who have realized God, have got a very clear cut understanding that they should remain disciple of truth and they should not ride or become the, as I have said before, take charge of God's duties but always remain humble. So I think it is important not to ask a question where to find a guru, but it is important how to become a disciple. And these are the signs of disciple as we have just talked about. Be humble, ask the question what is good for me, uh, show me the way, watch over me, correct me, and in our heart we should try not to be egotistic. We don't like when something is being told to us against our ego. Our pride is hurt. Our self-love is so powerful like Duryodhana or Ravan, and it is not an easy battle. We recognize that, and you all recognize, but then it will be a slow process, and hopefully sooner or later someday we will be able to win over the enemy, that is ego, if Lord will remain with us, and Lord is always with us, whether we will remain with Lord and whether we will continue to listen to saints and Gita and of course try to practice the best we can sincerely. So here then the relationship between Guru and disciple is very important in this slok. Unless we become a disciple, we are not going to learn. Even in the worldly things, the teachers must be respected. The students must feel humble in the presence of the teacher. I remember in our school days when the teacher entered this class, we all get up just to show that we have respect, that we are aware that he has entered, and we don't drink coke or sitting on the chair with our legs spread out, and we don't even notice whether the teacher has come or whether he is talking. Under these conditions, this arrogance, this pride, Lord will never allow us to really learn. You may learn science, you may learn mathematics, but you will not learn humility. And this is not going to help us. Yet, even the today's teachers don't teach us that. Our whole school system, our education system has become nothing but a business. It is a vast corporation, and the fundamental values that our saints have taught, that has made every civilization great, we have forgotten, and we will have to come back to that sooner or later. Students must respect teachers must respect students also and treat them as their own sons or daughters. It is not a business where he is paid, and if he is not paid, that he will not pay attention to it. I think that love relationship, respect and dignity, these are the things that are more important if we are going to have spiritual knowledge at all. So here then Arjun is recognizing that I have to become the disciple. So he says, please, I am your disciple, and hold my finger and carry me like a mother that will carry the child and show the path. I think that is beautiful. I think that Arjun really had good nature or sanskar, as we have said. That is why God had chosen him. But temporarily he has forgotten. But slowly again his good sanskars are showing, even though he is in a confused state. That is the beauty of it. Now, but another thing in Maya, even though he has surrendered, and after surrender you should have nothing to say because you already said that you lead me, and yet he is continuing his defense. So how difficult it is to surrender, how difficult it is to be a disciple. We may say I am a disciple, but the moment I say something that you dislike, you are back to Ravan or Duryodhana. You are a disciple as long as I say something that you like. As soon as we say something that you dislike, the discipleship is gone. And this is what my own experience tells me of the 30 years. I think that I have all the good friends because I don't ever say anything that will hurt them, at least not personally. We may talk to them in our spiritual talk, which of course truthfully we have to tell them. But in reality, when we face the problem, if we say them something truthful, they would not like it. And there are very few who are sincere, who may listen, who may come back after 10 years again, but they are very few. So it is not very easy to become a disciple, because when you say disciple, you are willing to fight your ego, your self-love, your pride, your vanity, your arrogance, the vices that you would want to give up. And these have such a strong hold on us, this ignorance, that it is just not easy to give up. Even if we wish, we must admit that it is going to be a slow process. So here we are looking at it and we are seeing that it is a slow process, that Arjun keeps on talking, he wants to be disciple, then again he is continuing to talk to Sri Krishna Bhagwan, probably showing his own ignorance or whatever he thinks he needs to talk. In the slok number 8, he says, Nahi prapashyami mama apanudyat yat shokam uchchoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumo asapatnam ruddham rajyam suranam apicha adhipatyam. This slok number 8 almost conclusively tells his own belief. He has already surrendered, he wants to surrender, and yet look what he says. He says, I don't see any possibility of coming out of my depression. So he is his own doctor now. And this is what we do. People come to me, they say that this is my problem is impossible, then they advise me what medicine to give so that it will help, but they are not willing to listen to the new advice. Okay? So this is how we really all do without realizing it. He says, I don't see any possibility to remove my sorrow, which is blasting my senses, and even if I win, and even if I get the kingdom of these three worlds, I don't want to fight. This, even if my kingdom there is no enemies and I will be flourishing, I will be the king of kings, Shahenshah or whatever, I don't think that I would want to fight. I just, even if you send me and make a king of the heaven, Indra, I think this will not be possible for me to fight. I don't think I can overcome this disease. Now that means he has already decided that his disease is very serious, but I think there is a doctor who should know better, and we should always tell others who is going to help us that let them examine us and let them give opinion. It is very important that we don't become our own doctor, particularly when we are worldly. If we are saints, there is no problem. Saints, of course, are even more humble. Sometimes saints, to hold on to their sainthood, they will, in order to make sure they don't make errors, they will assume that they have problems and they will go to another saint and just say so to find out, make sure that they don't have misunderstanding. So saints are that humble. Even though they don't have a problem, they will be humble enough to go to another saint, not to test him, but to make sure that the pride does not come back. Such is the Maya, such is the power. And yet we worldly people hardly think that we want to go to somebody and get advice and make sure that we are not making mistakes. We assume that how can I be wrong, or how can I be making mistake, or how can anybody help me in such a situation. All our own evaluation. Main thing is not to become our own doctor. Be sure that there is somebody in this world who can help you. Worldly people may not be able to help you, they may help little bit, but God is always watching us. He is within us. He knows our problems. He has never left us. He knows precisely what you are going through. And He is with you. He has already a plan for you, only if you will listen. One thing about God is that He does not talk unless we request Him that we want to listen, and then we become silent. If we go on talking, then we cannot listen that clock that is ticking within us. So we mean to say that we will listen to God, and I don't mean physically sit there while our mind is somewhere else or what I will be doing. So if He is talking and our mind is not there, then also we are not listening. So you should have a single-minded devotion to listen to Lord or to whoever is going to help us. We don't do that normally. We are physically here, we pretend that our ears are listening, but our mind is not listening. And listening is always done by the mind, not by the ears. Seeing is always done by the mind, not by the eyes. You may see, but if your mind is not there, you might wonder whether you ever seen that actress or the show or the place, because your mind was somewhere else. Same thing with music or anything else. So it is the mind through which we see, we feel, we taste, we hear, and so what we are trying to say is that when you pay attention, pay full attention, all your senses, particularly your mind should be there 100%, then I would say that you are really listening. Usually that is not the case. Now Arjuna has already decided about the impossibility, that he cannot be helped. It is impossible. It also tells us that we are telling God that you are not also going to be capable to help me. Such ignorance, I don't think at the moment it is pride, but it is depression. And depression is a result of pride to begin with. Arjuna had a pride in the beginning that who dares to come and fight with me? That pride he had already, that there is nobody in the world who can fight me. I have already destroyed. I want to see who dare to come here. And immediately Lord taught him the first lesson, that he lost his even composure. So he should learn this pride, that who is there to defeat me, in itself was a defeat for him. But he doesn't realize that. So pride is constantly with us. Now there is another pride, that there is nobody to help me. Even Sri Krishna cannot help me. It is like telling God that, well, God, my problems are such that you cannot help me. This is childishness. Child telling mom that, mom, you cannot help me. So all we are then doing is expressing ourselves, and if mom is wise and God certainly is wise, he just listens. The children are children. Most of the time we are stupid. Some of us are more stupid than others. But mothers are not stupid. God is not stupid. They will listen to us, and sooner and later they will help us to become wise. So Lord here, recognizing Arjun's stupidity, that he has told God that even he cannot help, that is almost an insult, I would say. Ordinarily, in place of God, if we were not God or saint, I think we would feel hurt. If an expert doctor comes to you, he has been very successful in operation, and if we go and tell him that, well, you are not going to be successful in this operation, I think he will get hurt. We have no right to say that, and yet we, out of our ignorance or this, depression, we may speak words that are not very wise. Of course, if the doctor is wise, he would not listen to you anyway. And that is what Shri Krishna Bhagavan is doing right now. He is not listening, but you can imagine that ordinary man would have got hurt if you insult him, and he would not even advise. That is what happens in the world when we try to seek each other's help. Other person doesn't have the forbearance, the real love, uh, the feeling that you belong to me, that you are part and parcel of me, that mother's love for the child, you hardly will find in the world, because our relationship is always based on selfishness and expectations and want something. When we stop wanting something, only then the love begins. And that is, of course, in this world almost next to impossible. The world is based on always wanting something, always looking at the results, and we never get to the real love behind it. That is what spirituality is going to teach us. Our love is always based on the gifts that we receive, the results, the rewards, while in spirituality the reward is love itself. Sri Krishna Bhagavan helping Arjun, that help itself is his own reward. And this we don't realize. In the worldly things, we always want something material, some physical pleasures, material rewards, and therefore the spirituality is totally different. A real guru A real spiritual teacher never wants anything from you. He never wants any following, he never wants any temples, he never wants wealth, because he knows that wanting makes you slave. That means if he is not a free soul, and if he is a slave, one slave cannot make another slave free. And so, in spirituality, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is going to do everything out of love. He cannot want anything from Arjun. Arjun cannot give anything to him, because saints and Lord have almost everything they have. So this is another factor that we want to keep in mind, that we can only love a person when we want nothing from them. And I would imagine there is hardly anything in this world in which one would do something without some expectation, unless you are a saint. Even a mother has expectation. She has selfishness in helping the child. We call it love, but it is attachment. There cannot be love between mother and child, because there is always that attachment, and if she is really not attached, then she is a saint. So this will be the rarest of the rare, that a mother is not attached to the child and really see the truth the way it should be seen. The truth is about the relationship. So the best relationship of mother and child also has some selfishness, even selfishness, that my child will grow and keep my big name, or whatever expectation you may have. We always have some expectation that he becomes happy. Even that is an expectation. So we don't realize that there is always some expectation, and that really then does not give our love relationship. It is a trading sort of, if we may say so, which we don't realize, but it is so. Even the marriage and everything in this world is a trade. If there is no trade, then of course you are saint. If you are saint, then there are no marriages, but you can always love. Love does not require any other relationship than love itself. Love always loves love, and not a person, physical body, or his intellect, or his achievements, or his beauty, or any art, or anything whatsoever. These objects do not govern love. Love is above all these things. So that is why Sri Krishna Bhagavan will not look for anything from Arjun except out of love. He is going to help him. Now the next slok, in which we will be seeing that Arjun is almost concluding his so-called wisdom. He says, Eva muktva rushikesham gudakesha parantapaha na yotsaiti govinda muktva tushnim babhuvaha. Having said all these things to Rishikesh, Rishikesh is one who has a control over his senses, that is God. So if we want to become God-like, the one requirement right now in Gita, we must come, I think it will be better if we make notes of things that we learn in Gita. Those are the virtues. If we develop, then we would become divine, we would become spiritual, and we would become saint-like. The first requirement is to have control over our senses. That is what Sri Krishna is addressed as Rishikesha. And Gudakesha is the title given to, or adjective given to Arjun. The requirement for a good disciple is that he has a control over sleep. And control over sleep means control over food. And control over food means, the saints say, control over sex and all our other desires. That means a brahmacharya. So our complete control over sleep is so difficult, and yet Arjun was known for that. During those 14 years, he was trying to control himself, having association of Sri Krishna Bhagavan. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.